growing technology city in Africa. Thank you very much for being here today, and it's my pleasure to welcome you back to another episode of TechBiz. It's Eco Innovations way of supporting the ecosystem, providing the necessary hand-holding and mentorship that we think startups need for them to be able to scale and commercialize their innovations. It's our way of living our mission, which is basically to support the growth and acceleration of startups in this local ecosystem. Of course, Eco Innovation Center serves to promote the collaboration between policymakers and ecosystem players as we continue to develop policies and structures and frameworks that develops and accelerate the growth of our ecosystem. And today happens to be another opportunity to engage with you. Today is the 119th episode of TechBiz, and in the last 118 different episodes, we've had subject matter experts that have graced this platform, and they've spoken to us about every topic imaginable in the business of technology and how to grow startups and grow technology innovations in this part of the world. We've talked about how to use a business model canvas, how to launch apps, how to accelerate your businesses, how to patent. We've spoken about things around investment readiness, how to build teams, and every topic. And my ask is, if you really want to get the best import of this, is to go back to look at the 118th episode of TechBiz that have had the best of minds in this ecosystem, share results of different time, and I promise it's going to be a rewarding experience. And for you to be able to get there, I think my colleague will be dropping the link into the side, the webinar side, in the chat room right now. It's www.FCII Eco Innovation Center/webinar, and then my colleague will have dropped the link in the chat room right now, and so it's an opportunity for you. Yes, ecoicenter.com/TechBiz or webinar, then you should be able to have that. And should you also want to be a part of this, because again, after the conversations, you might have questions, clarifications. 1 hour is usually not enough for us to explore the depth of some of the topics we're talking about, and you feel you want to still engage more with people, you have questions, you want to belong to a community where you believe you can have the right support structure to scale your business. Yes, you can join a community of over 2,500 ecosystem players, and that's where we call the TechBiz Nation. And it's very easy for you to join that. The Telegram or the WhatsApp page, my colleague have dropped the link that takes you to the TechBiz Nation. Just click it, and then you'll find out that myself, so many of facilitators of TechBiz at the time past are there. When you get in there, people are also, there are subgroups based on people's different work streams and which part of technology ecosystem you play in, so that it can be a robust forum for engagement, for conversation, and for support, which again is how we live out the mission of Eco Innovation. Okay, and so thank you very much for being a part of this. I will talk again later on about a few of the initiatives that we have, which will be about Out of Technology Lagos, and of course talking about the MACAC, which I just ended. But quickly, let's dive into the conversations of today, because again, I'm excited. I have a friend and a brother who is in this call, and what I like about the expertise he brings in is that it speaks to one of the concerns I've had playing the ecosystem these few years. Again, I spent the first close to 1.5 decades of my life in legacy businesses, and I spent the last couple of years understanding technology part. And again, like I've always echoed, technology is an enabler of business in itself. We need a lot more people who understand business and then can create technology-led businesses. And therefore, the facilitator of today, who will be speaking to us about beyond the launch, solving deep problems in traditional industries with tech. He's somebody that brings, like myself, years of experience in the traditional industry, and he's part of the people that is helping to create a revamping and disruption in traditional legacy businesses and making them tech-led. And for me, I think that's the best way businesses can be accelerated, because technology in itself is not the business, and it comes with vast experience in this space. But again, you will find out that as you begin to engage with him, because as we talk about, beyond the launch, solving these deep problems, we expect that the disconnect between modern technology tools and operational realities of traditional sectors, he will be able to explore that. He will be able to help us understand core problems versus treating surface level problems, which has not allowed us have so many tech firms who are able to scale significantly. Yes, everybody's building for unicorn, but how many unicorns do we have per capita? We think we can do more, and to a large extent is while many people are trying to just build those MVPs, we think building to solve real problems, grassroots problems, embedded problems is how we believe more unicorns can be built in this environment. And we think that our facilitator for today, he's a seasoned expert and the right person to be able to take us through this topic for today. I mean, he is an associate of the Chartered Insurance Institute of Nigeria. He's also a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Ghana and an associate of the Chartered Institute of Marketing of Nigeria. He is an alumnus of Harvard Business School, and he was a PDG and MBA in marketing from University of Calabar. He began his career at International Merchant Bank as a credit officer, and then, of course, later into operations, also in banking. And then at the turn of millennium in 2000, he transitioned from the insurance into the insurance sector, where he worked with Sovereign Trust Insurance PLC before moving to join Consolidated Risk Insurers as part of the pioneer team in the South building the Port Harcourt office. He then served as a regional head of marketing at Cornerstone Insurance PLC, vast experience in insurance and of course finance, where he helped expand operations in southern Nigeria. In 2006, he became a regional manager South at International Energy Insurance, IAI. And then by 2008, he moved to Ghana to head the subsidiary as an executive director of operations, so of course, serving so many industry and boards and committee in that capacity. By 2010, he became the MD CEO of the organization right there in Ghana. But the company later, of course, he led the rebranding of the company to become Heritage Energy Insurance in 2015, where he remained not only as a CEO, but also as a shareholder. So he understands what it means to be at the forefront of the trenches. And of course, he understands how to build and scale organizations where providing the required leadership. He later transitioned and founded Fastclaim Solution, an insurtech company, which is behind the Fastclaim application, an application, of course, that accelerates ability for us to claim. And of course, it's no surprise that as an insurtech, he leads the pace because he's got vast experience in traditional business and he's been able to use technology to now provide the right efficiency and scale that traditional businesses, of course, require. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, again, I want you to join me in welcoming to the 119th TechBiz webinar episode today, Mr. Uche Ayodele Okugo, the founder, Fastclaim. Thank you very much, sir.
Victor, thank you so much. I think you've already done the work, even the way you've actually described me. Thank you so much. It's an awesome opportunity to be here, to be able to share my own experience with how far I've gone. So I'm delighted to share my experience. And you know, like what you've said, you've hit the hammer on the nail straight. You say tech itself is nothing if it doesn't solve problems.
Yeah, exactly. It's
not
nice
just yes, not just problem, but deep problem. And it's not just the hype of it. So I'm happy to be here to be associated with your brand and to give the little insight I can give from my own traditional industry and across other industry as well. Thank you so much. Yes. Antonia, please, can you help me put my slide on? Thank you. Thank you, everybody. So I welcome you to the 119th event of this wonderful program. So, like I said, my name is Okugo Uche Ayodele. So originally, I won't say I'm a tech person. I've been in the traditional industry, which is insurance, and I've risen across the rank to being a CEO, to being a shareholder, starting up an insurance company. And I retired after the 10 years. And I decided to say, okay, I saw the problems I faced being in that traditional industry, and I thought, how can I now use solutions to be able to deal with the gaps and be able to solve the deep problems? And we know what tech is all about. And, for me, most of the founders of tech firms, they've actually gone through a story in the sense that maybe they were in a traditional industry, or maybe situations led them to ask themselves, how can we fix this problem? In my own case, it was just as simple as that. I had to ask myself questions. Okay, after stepping aside from the insurance industries, I had to ask myself, how can I fix the gaps in industry? And like the common saying that they say, is he that wears the shoes that knows where the pain is. And that is what led to Fastclaim. And today we've been able to deal with a lot of issues and be able to solve problems across the industry. So I'm going to show my first slide, which is traditional industry and why we're still lagging behind. So if you look out in Nigeria today, many bedrock sectors, which is you look at the insurance, today as we speak, the insurance industry is far, far, far below market penetration. And simply because why? The trust factor is not there. We've not been able to scale up that industry for people to be able to see the value proposition in it. Why the industry is still traditional. They still do a whole lot of things through brick and mortar process, which technology should be the driving force to remove the brick and mortar process and be able to let clients see the benefit of having an insurance policy. Take, for instance, I always tell people, if you walk into the bank today and you probably you probably open an account. That is not an insurance experience for you. It's not a customer experience for you. The customer experience comes from how you use the channels, from the apps and all the channels the bank has to do transactions, to pay for airtime, to pay for your DSTV. All those experience gives you customer experience. But in insurance, we've not had that. And that is where we've come in to see how we can deepen that customer experience so people will appreciate the value of buying an insurance policy. Also, we have it also in the healthcare. There's so much behind. There's a whole lot we can do in the healthcare sector. Education, logistics, they're still operating on outdated system. Even if we have to begin to ask for just common data, you find out that the industry is lacking behind. So this industry face deep-rooted problems: poor infrastructure, trust gap, fragmental data, and regulatory bottlenecks. What are the opportunities to use technology to drive real-time transformation and not just disruption? Transformation that will scale up the industry. So beyond the launch, the harder work begins. You see, it's not about the hype of launching a startup. Most times, some startups come with the whole facade, the launch, and after the launch, what next? Everything was centered about the hype of the tech. Like we say, tech on its own is nothing if it does not solve deep problems. So we look at where over 1,450 unicorn globally, but very, very, very few, the next slide, very, very few solve deep, persistent issues. And this should not be the case. A unicorn should stand because they came into existence to be able to deal with the pain points and to scale up. And one thing with tech is that as you as you solve one problem, you foresee that other problems will come on, and you begin to work towards to solving other problems that are associated with the actual problem you've come to solve. So the hype and the fast launch often overshadow long-term impact, and this shouldn't be the case. Execution, system infrastructure, and trust building are what truly scales any startup. So this is where the attention should be. Execution, system integrity, trust building, this is what scales up. So can we go to the next slide? So, in my own case, what led to why I decided to start Fastclaim? If we look at the case study of the Nigerian insurance landscape, and in a very, very, very honest view, there are people here that probably have a third-party motor policy, that if you happen to ask them that, do they have an insurance policy, they will tell you no. Reason being that they don't know that the third-party motor policy they have is actually a life insurance policy that covers them to the tune of liability of property damage up to 3 million naira. And injury is unlimited. So what it means is that if somebody, like an Uber driver, jams your car, he doesn't have to come down from his car and lie down on the ground and start begging you. He has a third-party insurance policy that covers that exposure up to 3 million. But most people, because of their awareness has not been well created in the industry, they see the third-party motor insurance policy more like vehicle documentation, without knowing that they actually have a third-party policy that can help them deal with issues when claims occur. So this is where we begin to look at there is minimal contribution to the GDP. Insurance accounts for only 0.4%, this is not meant to be the case. The insurance should even account more than the banking sector because we have the numbers. But because of we've not been able to, the trust factor is one issue, and we being able to scale up using efficiency to drive insurance for people to be able to appreciate having an insurance policy. So we have an untapped market potential of over 200 million people, which is very, very low. So this is where technology comes in as an enabler, channels of distribution to be able to drive this untapped market and be able to reach them. Access and trust issues. Consumers face distribution barriers and distrust towards the insurer. And this is what we are beginning to change in the market today, especially with Fastclaim, to make people understand that, look, you can claim, it's seamless, immediately it's automated claim system. The insurance company gets your notification. We can do a fast remote inspection, and immediately your claims can be paid. And this is the gospel that we're trying to let people know. And this is one of the enablers that we believe, even which we're in partnership with the regulators and the governing bodies and the association to be able to use this to drive penetration in the Nigerian market. So overcoming distribution challenges, technology bridges geographical and infrastructure gap, enabling nationwide access. So there have been instances where we've had issues where things are still being done brick and mortar in the insurance sector. Take, for instance, somebody has an accident or a car has to be inspected in medical. How is the inspection being done? They will need to find somebody to physically go to inspect the car. But we've been able to bring technology to override that, to say, no, you don't need to go do that. We have AI-driven remote vehicle inspection that once you generate the link set to the client, no matter where the location is, the AI will scan the vehicle, give you feedback of the damages and everything. And based on that, within 10 to 20 minutes, you can take a decision that will conventionally take you 2 weeks, if not more. And what does it do? It helps to reduce manual process, manual intervention, human errors, and especially costs, which basically affects the bottom line of the insurance company. So this is what we've been able to achieve with technology. And it's also a problem that I faced being a CEO. And I decided to say how we can improve the system with technology and see how technology being an enabler can help be a driving force, especially to increase market penetration and reduce operational costs. So enhancing onboarding and servicing, intellectual system, personalized user journey. It becomes very easy when you eliminate the brick and mortar process. The journey, even the customer appreciates why. Because People go through a lot making claims. People go through a lot for their vehicles to be inspected. People go through a lot for their vehicle to finally get an adjuster to adjust it and get back to them to say, okay, we're going to pay you this amount of money, which will ordinarily take 3 weeks. But because of we've changed how things are being done in the traditional industry, this can take minutes for a decision to be made. So we don't have to wait for the whole brick and mortar process that will take us 3 weeks, but within hours, within 4 or 5 hours, a decision can be made and the customer can have a customer experience and appreciate the value of having an insurance policy. So the next slide is, reimagine. We're trying to reimagine the claims process. You see, the tangibility of anybody buying an insurance policy is claims. You don't know that your insurance policy exists until a claim occurs. Because the insurance policy on its own is like a promissory note. But it's until when a claim occurs, that is when you begin to feel the value proposition of having an insurance policy. So we've been able to do this with AI, fast digital inspections, to make it seamless, self-service, and universal access. So anywhere you are, all that processes, be it in any part of Nigeria you are, you could simply sit on your decks and be able to initiate through using AI to solve this pain problem that will have probably cost the traditional industry 2 to 3 weeks to deal with. So, and we also enhance AI enhanced verification, auto onboarding, biometrics, fast and secured. This is what technology brings to play. And most importantly, the next slide, smarter, accurate risk profiling. Now we're creating data. We're doing early fraud detection, customized policy design, claim pattern analysis. And this helps the insurance industry to be able to reach its full potential, improve risks and pricing. So we go down and you see, tech isn't the gold. Tech isn't the gold. My next slide. Tech isn't the gold. Solving problem is the gold. Because like we always say, there's difference between people that can create solutions and a difference between people that understand technology. But if you can build your tech around solving deep problems, then it becomes very clear that you've been able to meet the demand of what people actually want. The next slide. So when we say tech is in the gold, this is where technology is being used as a tool. Tech should serve real world needs, not just to be earned in its own. Human-centered design, focus on intuition, initiate experience for users, outcome-driven innovation. Fastclaim emphasizes this usability, trust, and efficiency over tech hype. Next slide, please. So, in a nutshell, is what we've decided to do. And because of, especially using Nigeria as a case study, the trust factor has not been earned. If you have to ask somebody, I've seen cases, and I'll tell you people one thing. It's not as if insurance companies don't pay claim. Insurance companies actually do pay claims. But because of their processes, it's still in the traditional way. You don't appreciate it because you probably expect them to pay your claim within a certain time frame. But because of the delay, and when they finally pay it, you don't even appreciate what has been paid to you. Because why? Your customer expectation was not being met. So this is all we've been able to do in Fastclaim. I know I'm running out of time. We've been able to standardize across underwriters to say, look, let's create a platform, build a community to bring the insurer and the insured to be able to have relationship, communicate, foster that bond, and most effectively have a close relationship with meeting customer needs and being very customer centric using technology. That has been our key focus. Our key focus is to see how, number one, let an average Nigerian, somebody that has a third party policy, can say, I had an accident. And based on how we used technology, our claim was paid. Somebody that has a third-party policy that does not even believe that it does exist, seeing it being actualized, that claim is being paid. You begin to see how people appreciate insurance, and automatically it scales up and our market value begins to increase, which at the end of the day show on the bottom line on of every insurance company and at the nation at large. So this is what we've been able to achieve with Fastclaim, and we're still building more. We're still dealing with more pain points that we know that the industry needs to be able to be customer centric and to be able to meet customer satisfaction. Create a wonderful user experience for them and let them believe that insurance actually works in Nigeria. Thank you so much.
And again, delivering such a roller coaster in a short period, I think is remarkable. It's quite remarkable, and thanks for speaking again to the core of the conversations that we have, because again, for technology to scale, I believe in this part of the world, our people don't need to build to solve problems in Silicon Valley. That's not where we are, or to solve only for investors. We need to solve, and we've got myriad of local problems. I mean, as basic as feeding, we can't even feed ourselves. Coming to this meeting earlier on, I was driving from the middle of city of Abuja. I was coming from the Central Business District. It will say I was coming all the way back to Maitama to take this call, to be a part of this meeting. And I was stopped for like 3 minutes because a herd of cows were crossing the road on the express. And if you know where the Nnamdi Azikiwe Express is, a big, wide 6-lane express, or 4-lane express, of course, clearly that or more. And we had to stop because herd of cows were crossing the road. And you know, the only thing that kept running through my mind as I came is something as basic as agriculture. We've not even understood how to be able to efficiently, because the question is, how many of these cows do we need to walk around the whole of the country to feed a grain population of over 200 million, growing about 3 to 4% every year? So, you know, back to what we're talking about is there's so many deep-seated problems in emerging markets that we think technology should be able to solve. And thanks for, you know, talking about one of them, which is basic. It's basic insurance. It's basic ability to manage unforeseen circumstances. But in my first questions to you is, it's a totally different mindset, I presume, from running a traditional business to now running a tech-led business. Especially when you are selling technology solution to a traditional industry. What will you say has been the response, disposition, adoption of people, not new people, not the Gen Zs? I'm talking of the people who are in the traditional space, because even though you're a tech-led, you're going to still read underwriters. And I can sure, if I know what a traditional underwriter looks like in traditional space, they still want to use their normal paper and all that. And your actuaries, or who are those adjusters, the loss adjusters who you are claiming you want to wipe out their industry because you want to use AI to displace the loss adjusters, How are people reacting to it? And what has been the adoption? What is people's response? Because you are disrupting, you are wiping out some segment of the ecosystem because AI wants to do the adjustments and inspect and do all those things. You still have your traditional people who many of them are legacy. They've been using paper from the days of Nikon Insurance to write a few things. What has the experience been?
Victor.
Yes, sir.
Have you, for some of us, I'm a deacon in church. So it's like preaching the gospel to somebody that doesn't want to accept Christ Jesus as his personal Lord and Savior.
You're in trouble.
That is how hard it is. At one point, I pitched for 2 hours and I'm dry. I'm like, you could see rejection, even for something that gives you value. Now, let's even remove technology. I remember my rising through the insurance industry. And as a young boy, I bring up ideas that, can we change proposal form? Can we do this? They say, no, don't go there. This is not how we do it here. We've been doing it like this for 30 years, 40 years. So who are you now to come and tell us you want to change it? Keep quiet. But I was able to bring some of those little innovation when I became a CEO. So selling tech to insurance company, you have no idea what I'm going through. So let me tell you what I'm actually going through. It's, but the beautiful thing is that, when you're bringing a disruptor, there will be that resilience. And that is just what it is. So you go to an insurance company, you're able to bring technology to them at zero to no cost in terms of integration and onboarding. And say, you know what? I'm giving you the system at a zero cost. Use it, build your user case. If you are okay, come and tell me I want to subscribe. The people at the top management will clap, they will like it because of why? It's going to help them reduce their costs, efficiency. They're going to go to their board and like, wow, we've brought a game changer. But the people down the line, they're thinking too many things. One, they see it as disrupting the normal way they are used to doing their work. Now, they're afraid that if we adopt this thing, are you sure one day the company is not going to lay us off and say, you know what, AI is now doing inspection, please, we don't need the inspection team in the insurance industry anymore. And I tell them that AI does not replace human beings. It only helps to enhance your work. So they're very, very reluctant. And you see that most times you need to talk, and there's that thing that it will not work. They're seeing the value proposition, they're seeing it. So it's been a whole lot engaging them and, trying to scale them up gradually. But to be honest with you, it's not easy. I never knew that selling technology was this hard. I thought it was an easy thing that, when you walk up to somebody and they are showing somebody value, I expect the person to embrace it. And they're like, okay, it's value, but do we really want your value now? We're okay where we are. So somebody is telling you, I'm still okay paddling with my canoe. It's manual. I'm sure it's working. But these speedboat you are giving us, what if it gets to the sea and it goes off, and we don't have the normal stick to paddle ourselves? To paddle, what happens? We'll be stuck in the ocean. So let us be paddling with our canoe, knowing that we'll get to where we will get, even though it's going to take us 24 hours. These are speedboat that will take us 2 hours, might stop in the sea and we might not be able to move. So it's a wonderful experience for me, but it's been able to make me still, it's awesome, and keep educating them. So I think you asked, because this question I've been pondering for the past few weeks, and you just took it off my mouth, and I just told somebody that this is like going to meet a Muslim and you are preaching the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ. So that is what it is.
So I mean, and again, honestly, I think most people from traditional industries, they stumble onto this obstacle every time from traditional industries. But one of the things you need to keep in mind is the fact that even the finance, we're talking tech and all that. I remember growing up with passbook. I remember growing up where we queue, and the banking hall, definition of banking hall then were sitting chairs in the banking hall for people to take queues. People used to use their slippers to queue for space those days when they pay salaries, and money could not move across branches. And anywhere you have your passbook, that's where you can withdraw.
Yes.
If you remember, people used to open
have tally numbers also. Have your tally number when you go to the banks.
That's what, the fintech that we're all doing transactions on it now. Even the banking industry was a traditional industry before it's been opened up and all that. And if you take me to the second question that someone asked and why, and why I made reference, okay? So this person's question and was, it was talking about regulation. That how do you balance innovation with compliance in an industry like insurance that is heavily regulated? And I will explain that, okay? It talks about insurance because the finance industry is the most regulated today, is heavily regulated, but it's the only one that has all the unicorns. The 5 to 6 unicorns that we have today in this country are all from the finance industry, the most regulated, the most defined, but then it's happened. And we presume that the regulators took a major part, PVA, NIBs and all that. From your own experience, from also, because for me, I think the financial industry is made up of insurance and traditional finance. What do you think has been the role of regulators, and how do you think they can make innovation adoption a lot easier? Because looking back at NIBs, PVN, and all that, I believe those things catalyzed, with NIB, they catalyzed, the advent of people being able to now build solutions for the fintech space. The insurance regulatory space, I think they now come now. I think that's what they are. How do you think the regulators can contribute or are contributing to technology adoption and disruption in here?
Okay, so thank you very much for that question. So I think for the regulators now, they know that without InsurTech, we can't go far. So we'll keep doing the same old thing. We will not get new results. So for me, the regulators have been encouraging. And one thing I can tell you with the regulators, once they see the value proposition you are bringing on board, they will certainly support you. Except they don't get their hands around what you're doing. Fine, we know it is heavily regulated, it's the finance industry, so it has to be well regulated. But in my own part, I've seen more of support from them because they saw the value proposition I was bringing. And also because of the regulators also wanted to speak to one of the pain points is that insurance companies should pay claim. And not just only should pay claim, but should also pay claim in a timely manner. So for me, I bought a product for them that they embrace. And for regulators, it's all about the value proposition you're bringing, and they'll be able to. They should encourage you. From my own part, in as much as we know regulation is tough, them giving you license and everything. But if they see what you're bringing on board and you're able to meet the set requirements, they will. If you probably told me 5 years ago, I would say, okay, fine, But even now, we know it. Okay, take for instance, see what fintech has done in the banking sector.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what insurtech has done in the insurance sector?
Nothing. I mean, how many insurtech companies do you even have? I'm sure if I count them, they are not to 10 on the tip of my finger.
And it's not just been an insurtech. What pain point are you dealing with? Not just we're bringing technology. So I think the regulators are at that point.
Yeah.
You said? Yes.
I said, what's the pain point? And I think I like that you've said technology should intervene and bring efficiency at a particular integration or pain point.
Yes.
The question, are we building for building's sake, or are we building to address a major pain point? And that's what I like the experience you bring to bear. Yeah.
And that pain point should be deep. The pain point needs to be deep. That is when we're solving real problems.
Good.
Yes.
Good. Another question, if you don't mind, okay? Coming, of course, we're getting from all the platforms. You have been a veteran and you rose from the rank and file to become a shareholder and an MD.
Yes.
And someone is asking, how important is user education? How do I build trust with industry veterans who have seen countless tech solutions fail in their field? So I am trying to disrupt like the traditional industry. You are a veteran, and there are many veterans who have been in the insurance industry. Many of them are now, once they leave, they now even become insurance brokers. How do you think someone can build trust with these kind of veterans who think and feel they've seen it all, and who so many times have even seen technology white elephant projects that have failed. How have you been able to build trust with regulators? How have you built trust with veterans, your contemporaries, senior colleagues, and all that? And how do you think this can be done?
Okay, so thank you very much. I think in my own part, so the typical industries that most veterans leave to go start a brokerage firm, which you rightly know. But in my own case, I just did not want to be a broker. I got into being a CEO at a very young age, in my 30s. And with the way insurance and banking is done, once you're 10 years, you need to step aside as a CEO. You've done your 10. And I didn't want to go back into the insurance industry, and I didn't want to be a broker. So I had to ask myself, how can I bring innovation to the insurance industry? So I'll probably say maybe I might be or not only be the only veteran that had done traditional insurance and is doing tech now. Because if you look at fintech, the guys in fintechs, they're all from the banking sector. Most of them.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
They're from the banking sector. So if we that are veterans in insurance, and that is what has helped me to be able to navigate my way with the regulators, with insurance company, because these are colleagues, senior colleagues, contemporaries that they can see, okay, Uche understands the problem. And what helps me also is that most times when I'm discussing with fellow veterans and insurance company or regulators, I'm not talking in quote like a tech person. I'm talking like an underwriter.
The
Saying,
language you
this is,
understand.
yes, this is the problem. And by the time they understand, okay, yes, Uche is the problem, I say, okay, this is how we can use tech to now fix the problem. And that's okay, they can understand me. So that is what has helped me, because coming from that traditional industry, and they know I have that pedigree, and they know what I'm talking about, I know the problems, I've faced it, and most of them is even in motor vehicle fraud. I found myself where, because of a simple remote inspection, somebody was in a far location, we couldn't send a link to do the inspection. We inspected cover on the vehicle, saying, okay, we will send somebody to go and inspect the car. Within a couple of few days before we could send somebody, the person has filed a loss for a total claim. Sorry, for a total loss. And he said the vehicle was burnt. Yes, this was an eye-opener that made me start this whole Fastclaim. And it wasn't a small loss, it was heavy. So only for me that how can we want to within 3 days send so, because it's fun, like it's just like being, I was in Accra then and this claim happened in Kumasi. So before we could even say we could send somebody, 3 days. So now instead of doing a pre-loss inspection, we are now doing a post-loss inspection. We have to send an adjuster. An adjuster got there. The man had burned the vehicle, used tarpaulin, covered the evidence for us. He opened it, VIN number, everything. Everything was the same. I said, wow. But probing further, I now discovered that the vehicle was overinsured. From insuring a vehicle that is valued for 10 million, you're insuring it for 50 million. Then that was how we were able to, debunk that. But if I had had technology in place, that would not have happened. We will have stayed anywhere we are, underwriting that vehicle, send a remote link to the man, and we'll have able to see the right subject matter of insurance, if it's really inexistent or not. Yes.
That's deep. And again, solving traditional and again, technology will bring efficiency. It will improve productivity. And this is a clear case of it, because I tell you, one of the things that discourages people from insurance is the time it takes for you to get a claim. And
very
insurance needs to protect themselves, because underwriting losses erodes profitability. So they also need to be sure that they are not writing off losses that would destroy. So there must be a balance. It's a strong tension between the person that are insured and the person who has taken the risk. But with technology, it is addressing a major pain point, and this is the beauty of it and what we're talking about today. Saying that it's clearly not just about I want to launch tech. It's beyond that launch, beyond an MVP. It is what are the real problems? What are the
real problems? And even take for instance now, I've sat down and I've looked at government and I say something, and you struggle to get roadworthy certificate.
Yes.
You have a clean car that is less than 10 years. Now, we know that physically they don't have, VIO does not have enough centers to do vehicle inspection on these vehicles. Now, I look at VIO and I tell them, you guys are losing revenue. It's not high time you cap vehicles, Any car that is below within 10 years, let them do a remote inspection for you. Pay online. Then let the commercial buses, those commercial vehicles that you know that, because I and you see, Lagos State government cannot be more particular about my car brakes than me.
Yeah.
You understand? But the
Yeah.
downfall driver is not particular about his car brakes.
You carry
He's
people,
not
yeah.
particular about maintenance of his car, but I and you are particular. So is it I and you now that will be driving to go struggle with these downfall drivers to get an appointment in the centers to inspect a vehicle that I and you know is in good driving condition?
And
So
those
what
are
happens? Eh?
those are the big pain points, eh? Those are the major things.
Serious pain point. Because let me happen. They will lose revenue because you know we're in Nigeria. We'll find way around it. And you know, at the end of the day, let's be honest. Because they're going to schedule you, you now start driving your car to Alausa, a car that is in very good condition, maybe a car that is barely 5 years old. You can't start struggling with commercial bus drivers for them to now check your brakes and everything that you are more particular about.
True. And for me, those are really the pain points that we need to uncover.
Yes.
On the final note, again, I've seen a couple of questions, but we can't take all of them. Moving from a traditional industry, because again, I quite identify, I spent the first 15 years of my life working in the FMCG space. And then here you are leading and driving a tech-led business where you need to also have tech people that have tech understanding, tech experience. What has been your challenge? How have you found it, operating and navigating this tech ecosystem, you being a non-tech, working with tech and providing leadership to tech people? How has been the experience? Great, challenging?
Okay, so in all honesty, it's not been very easy.
Yeah.
So this is me coming from, a traditional insurance as a CEO. When you walk into the office, you send somebody an email, respond, everybody's working. You now come in the tech space. Your young developers, you call them, you send them email, and they're like, "Sir, we'll get back to you." I'm like,
Yeah.
I now have to use water and wash my eyes and say, what is going on here? Am I still the CEO of this company? And they take things completely easy. But you know what I found out from the industry is that, you see, I call developers artisans. They do not understand business. They're
Super.
artisans. So if you leave your business to them, you're going to cause trouble for yourself. So you need to have also an in-between, a proper business analyst that can code, that understands that line of business, and that can navigate them into saying, listen, we have to deliver. This is the business side of what you're delivering. Take, for instance, a fashion designer and a tailor. The fashion designer does the sketch of how the dress should come out. He gives it to the tailor, who is an artisan. Tailors can collect jobs from 50 people, and they're not particular about timelines. There's no difference with tailors and developers. Yeah, most of them are not well schooled. Most of them just learn the skill. So it's a whole lot. So you need to struggle. You need to come down to their level and take them up. So it's a whole lot of work. It's
I'm
a
sure
whole lot of work.
it was a big culture shock for you.
It was a major cultural shock because, they'll look at you and say, sir, they will say, one out to me, Oga, calm down, take it easy, calm down. And I've never had my subordinate tell me, calm down. Are you kidding me? Say, calm down. You're shouting, just calm down, calm down. I'm like, okay, when can we fix this point? Say, we'll get back to you. Just relax, calm down. Calm down where? So it was a major culture shock for me. But at the end of the day, my blood pressure went up, especially when money is going down the drain. Then I have to intentionally tell myself, you have to calm down. If not, you kill yourself.
Nothing gets done, yeah.
Come down to that level and carry them up. And that is where I am today.
Oh, super. Again, thanks for this interesting engagement. And because again, culture hangs heavily over our ecosystem. And I think that's also one of the things that people who are coming from traditional industries, who are big on profitability, who are big on making sure the business runs and all that, many usually experience some culture shock because to a large extent, the ecosystem still needs to understand the business behind tech. And that's what we try to do in TechBiz as I round up, okay? It's getting people to understand that there's a business behind technology and understanding the nuance of that business, navigating, knowing finally it's about winning the consumer, creating a good consumer experience, and getting the consumer to pay for the services which you offer that we're here. But we cannot but thank you enough, Mr. Uche, for your time and for speaking to us from your wealth of experience, unbundling what the journey has been, a pioneer trying to disrupt. And that's what I tell people, people assume that people who, again, are not Gen Zs or millennials cannot understand tech. And I said, no, the people who are baby boomers or Gen X, they understand the business. And for them, it's another advantage. All they have to do is plug and play of tech. And thank you for actually leaving that out, because people can now see that tech is for all ages and for all people. It's come to stay. It brings efficiency and effectiveness and improves the productivity of what we do. And therefore, I think people who are not looking for how tech can disrupt their businesses need to adopt tech because it will improve. And of course, the young people for which we have done this webinar, who think tech is an end in itself and who are worried about the hype of launching an MVP and think it's all about raise, need to understand that no, in itself, there's a business behind what you do and there are business metrics to be focused on. Scaling involves not only attracting capital, but also making sure the business metrics of innovation, growth, and performance, business growth and performance are also met beyond I have raised money that everybody is talking about. Thank you very much for your time. We do not take your presence for granted. Again, you have been one of the 119 subject matter experts who have come to speak to us from their diverse field of experience, helping to build the ecosystem. It's your own way of giving back to make sure that we can all have a better ecosystem and a better country. I mean, we can do reverse japa. When we also adopt technology and fix our place, all the people that have japa and japa is not paid, then they can be able to come back because
they're coming back. They're coming back.
We will have used technology to solve the security issues. Yeah. So we use technology to solve security, use it to solve food, use it to solve accommodation, use it to solve everything. So all the things people are running and taking the ocean and going to wash dead, but if we use technology to solve those industries, solve even energy and power, if we're able to use technology to solve all those things and bring efficiency, I'm sure this country can be a better place. Thank you very much, Mr. Uche. We do appreciate you for your time and we will not take for granted. And to all our listeners and who have been a part of this, again, I want to say a big thank you for keeping faith with us. A big respect of time. And when we say something is for an hour, it definitely is for an hour. But what I want to assure you, because I know a few people jumped onto the party a bit late, what I want to assure you is that this particular recording, as well as the 118 other recordings that we have, is available to you. This recording will be available by 12 noon tomorrow. All you have to do, if you want to see the webinar recordings and the presentation itself, is for you to access via ecoicenter.com/techbiz. ecoicenter.com/techbiz, and you will see all the recordings and you can take the time to be able to go through it again. And should you also want to join the community where we discuss issues, you have problems, you want people to respond to you, want information about what's happening in the ecosystem, how to grow, how to scale, how to get access to grants, to funding, jobs, opportunity, and all that, join our community called the TechBiz Nation. And I think if you're a part of that, the link is also being dropped in the TechBiz Nation through the WhatsApp community and the Telegram community. You will find out that if you are in there, it becomes an opportunity for us to continue to provide the hand-holding beyond what we're able to do in this 1 hour a month session every last Thursday to be able to support. So just click the link and be a part of it. On a high, I'm not sure Bolatito can share or anybody can share, their admin can share. Art of Technology Lagos, the flagship event that is designed and curated by Eco Innovation Center. The link is being dropped, aotlagos.com, for you to register. And if they have the flyer, please someone can share the flyer in there. You can share the screen. I think you need to register. It promises to be exciting. It's become one of the biggest technology gatherings that we have in this part of the world, arguably in Africa. And I can tell you that because it fosters the collaboration between ecosystem players and policymakers, because policy is always lagging innovation. Our job is to make sure, how do we close that lag and make sure that policy is supporting and promoting innovation. So Art of Technology Lagos is here again. Do well to register, do well to be a part of it. And the theme for this year, future technologies and the digital Lagos, future technology. So last year we looked at AI, but this year we're looking at insurtech, fintech, AI, circular economy, cloud computing, EVs. There are so many EVs coming in now and all that. How are all these future technologies helping to make our life a better place as we build a connected and a digital Lagos and Africa in itself? So do well to register. Do well to be a part of this. Do well to mark the date and mark your calendar, 5th of December 2025 in Landmark Event Center. It promises to be an exciting session as we collaborate with policymakers to talk about the future of technologies and how to build a sustainable states where we live. So thank you very much for that, and thanks Bola Tito and the team for that. So make well to register, make well to exhibit if you got an innovative solution, make well to sign in for the pitch session that happened in Koraburi, Lagos. But of course, above all else, do register for this conference. Again, thank you very much, everyone who's been a part of this. I remain your host of TechBiz and the founder of ACIIN Innovation Center, a center dedicated to fostering the growth, development of the Lagos and Nigerian tech ecosystem by providing the handholding and support that our startups, especially at the very nascent stages, need. We are located in 50 Awolowo Road, Ikoyi, and I remain the founder, Victor Gbenga Afolabi, saying thank you for keeping a date with us, and I look forward to hosting you again as I welcome you on the last Thursday of the month of July. Thank you for being a part of this, and do have a great evening. Thank you very much, our host. Have a good evening and a good weekend, everyone. Bye.